Hello everyone, I'm Kathi Powers, the Superintendent with the Twinsburg City School District. Welcome to Twinsburg Schools Today. Well, we are at the very beginning of the 2021-22 school year. I hope your family had a great summer, a time to rest and rejuvenate and prepare for what I know will be a fantastic school year. You know, last year we had to really realign our school district and move students and move teachers and move classroom locations because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And over the summer, we reshuffled the deck. We have students back on campuses that are traditional with the exception of sixth grade classes who are now located over at the middle school in the upper north hallway. But we're just so excited to greet our students and our staff members and just launch a year that I know will be memorable and exciting, and a year in which our students will achieve academically and socially and just have a great time learning with their friends. The purpose for today's program is to introduce you to our district reopening plan for this school year. On August 18th, our Twinsburg Board of Education authorized the plan that I will present with to you today, and this follows an initial plan that was first authorized on June 23rd. We knew that when the plan was authorized on June 23rd that this pandemic was going to continue to evolve. And so our commitment to our community was to ensure that when we started the school year, we would be using the best science to make some decisions with regard to how our school district would operate. So I'd like to walk with you today through our plan, and maybe this will answer some of the questions that you may have been pondering over the summer months as to how the Twinsburg City School District will operate, knowing that we are still in the midst of a pandemic and our priority will always be the safety and health of our staff members and the students and all of the families that support our staff members and our students as well. So first of all, I just want to remind everyone about the vision that our Board of Education has authorized for our school district, and that is our unwavering commitment, because with unwavering commitment, we know that there are unlimited possibilities for our students. And our mission, of course, is to partner with our community to provide excellent education programs to prepare future-ready students. And we know that even though we are operating under very unusual circumstances because of the pandemic, those very promises to our community will continue to play large in every single decision that we make here in our school district. When we began to consider what this reopening plan would look like, there are many things to consider. First and foremost is the health and safety of all who are affiliated with our school district. Also to ensure that our students have academic programming that would meet their needs and that would help them to be successful and to accelerate into the future that they want for themselves. We knew that there are times this year that we may need to have an online option, and of course we have some parents as we begin the school year because of particular circumstances who desire an online option for their children. And so we're happy to provide that online option. We'll be talking a little bit more about that during today's show. We wanted to ensure that our students are engaged in the learning that will take place in our classrooms, whether those classrooms are on campus or virtual. And we wanted to make sure that we are taking care of the social, emotional needs of our whole student population as well as our staff members. We are cognizant of the operations, the things that are behind the scenes, the infrastructure of our school district that support good places for kids to learn. And that's what really is important, that our environment is one in which students can be happy, can be safe, and can learn the very best way possible. Of course, we want to make sure that we have the finest talent in front of our students. So our Human Resources Department has worked very diligently over the summer to recruit and then to recommend to the Board of Education teachers and classified staff members, administrators who will support the operation this school year. Of course, we're always cognizant of the budget and our financial situation, and we want to make sure that we are good in taking care of our residents' tax dollars. Our central office operations really worked all summer to make sure that all the pieces and parts were in place and to ensure that the soft reopening that is happening in the last couple weeks here in the month of August really grounds our staff and our students so that they are prepared and ready for a great school year. And of course, everything that we do in our school district has an eye on legislation and on board policy to make sure that applicable policies and legislative regulations are met. So when we think about opening any school year, and in particular this school year under which we have a pandemic, we always want to make sure that our students are at the very center of every decision. We know that our community supports our students and our families support our students. Our staff members are here to support our students, but we also want to make sure that technology can support students in their learning and that we are paying attention to what healthcare providers are giving us with regard to updated information relative to the ongoing pandemic. The recommendations that I made to the Board of Education on June 23rd and then again on August 18th were grounded in many things. First and foremost, an awareness of health and safety guidelines. I want to say this at the front end of this presentation, and that is how much I appreciate the guidance provided to us from Summit County Public Health, and especially Commissioner Donna Skoda. She has been such a great partner, not only as we launch the 21-22 school year, but in a significant manner during last school year. Her guidance has been spot on. She's easily accessible, and I truly appreciate the support that she's provided to the Twinsburg City School District. Obviously, we pay attention to not only local guidance, but also that with which we receive from the state of Ohio, the Ohio Department of Health, and of course Governor DeWine's office, along with the Ohio Department of Education. And we work really hard with our district's labor unions, the Twinsburg Education Association and the Twinsburg Support Staff Association, to ensure that our staff members, our school family, really is aligned in our thinking with regard to how school looks in a pandemic. Now, our guiding principles really are important to us, and first and foremost, of course, it's the educational environment and the learning that our students will do during this school year. And so, as I mentioned previously, we welcome our students back on campus this year. We have a very small percentage of parents who desired an online learning option for their children. So we were very pleased to partner with the Educational Service Center of Northeast Ohio to bring to our school district, through the Ohio Online Learning Company, the Twinsburg Online Learning Academy, which we'll speak to here in a moment. Also, in the midst of a COVID pandemic, we always have to be ready to pivot the entire district out to a learning opportunity that would be remote. I'm certainly hoping that doesn't happen during the 21-22 school year, but I want our parents to have the confidence in knowing that we are prepared to do that if that becomes necessary. Of course, the health and safety remain our priority, and we continue to seek guidance from the Ohio Department of Health, the CDC, Ohio Department of Education, the OHSAA, which is the organization that we belong to related to our athletic programs, and of course the Summit County Public Health officials. Social emotional learning is very important in our school district. In fact, more than a year ago now, the Twinsburg Board of Education authorized social emotional learning standards. We know that students have to feel good about themselves and about their friends and about the environment in which they learn. So we take a lot of time in our school district to make sure that our students feel grounded and happy and safe. So social emotional learning continues to be a very important part of what we do in our school district. And finally, the operations that I mentioned in the previous slide are really the machine behind the scenes that would support the classroom learning each day that our students are with us here, either on campus or in the virtual environment. Speaking of the Twinsburg Online Learning Academy, which is our virtual environment, I would like to just provide a few thoughts about that virtual option. Again, we have a small population of families who desire that online option for their children for this year. So just to tell the greater community what that looks like, first, those students are taught by employees of the organization known as Pearson, and they are actually employed through the Ohio Online Learning Company, and that is with the Educational Service Center of Northeast Ohio. This online learning opportunity for students is different than last year in the sense that last year, students who were engaged in our virtual academy were taught by Twinsburg City School District teachers. That is not the case this year. The teachers that will be working with our children through the Twinsburg Online Learning Academy are not employed by our board, but rather by Pearson, which is the company that is contracted with the Educational Service Center of Northeast Ohio. Students who participate in this online option will be required to submit 910 hours of online or independent offline work. And then we will have a teacher of record that will help document the work that the students are completing throughout the school year. With Pearson, there are individuals known as student learning advocates. And a student learning advocate works directly with the student and his or her parent to ensure that the student is staying on track and on pace with the curriculum. So these folks are not the teachers. The student learning advocates are more like counselors on the side that make sure that students are keeping on track. Students who are working using this Twinsburg Online Learning Academy as their school for the year remain enrolled as Twinsburg City School District students. They're just learning in the online environment. Pearson will be sending manipulatives to the elementary students who are learning at home through Twinsburg Online Learning Academy, things like math manipulatives, things that will help students understand math concepts in a better way because they're able to manipulate those items as they learn the curriculum. Next, I'd like to talk about social distancing in our school district. Over the summer months, in the work that was done, our custodial staff, under the leadership of our business manager, Mr. Chad Welker, remeasured every single one of our learning spaces. As you know, last year we used the golden rule of 6-foot social distance because at that time, that is what the science told us was necessary to keep children and staff members safe. As we head into the 21-22 school year, what we are able to provide for our students so that we can welcome everyone back on campus would be social learning at a rate of 4-foot social distance between our kindergarten through students in grade 8 and 4.5 feet of distance between our 9th through 12th grade students. Now, the high school campus itself just tends to have larger classrooms. That's why we're able to extend the social distance measure by an additional 0.5 feet and guaranteeing at least 4.5 feet of distance from one student to the next in the classrooms. Now, when you speak about indoor facilities, for example, our gymnasiums and our auditoriums, we will continue to practice social distance there as well. So as we head through the school year, when we have athletic events in our gymnasium at Twinsburg High School, let's say for an example, or if we have a concert that is scheduled to be in the auditorium at Twinsburg High School, we are so excited about welcoming our families back in for those events, but the rule of social distance will still apply. And so we'll be forwarding much more information about that as we get closer to those events on campus. We are moving our RBC home volleyball games to the campus of Twinsburg High School. And the reason for that is using the high school gym allows for increased capacity when you talk about the fans who want to come out and support our students as they participate in RBC volleyball games. With regard to Twinsburg Tiger Stadium and other outdoor venues, the social distance measure really doesn't come into play so much when you're outside. And even though we say that we are still strongly recommending that folks who are participating in our outdoor venue activities would remain masked if they are not in fact vaccinated. We're happy to tell everyone that our tickets will remain online for athletic events. And so if you're interested in coming out to support our Tigers as they play, please visit the district website at www.twinsburg.k12.oh.us. And once you're there, click on the Twinsburg High School tab, and then you can click on from there the athletic department link, and that'll take you to hometown ticketing, where you'll be able to purchase tickets to all of our home events. Know that this year we are selling athletic passes, and also for our senior citizens who want to come out and support our Tigers, that you are more than welcome to do that, and there is no cost to your admission to support our Tigers in their events here on our school campuses. I do want to mention, however, that families have priority in purchasing tickets, and there are priority deadlines set through hometown ticketing, and once the family deadline is passed, then we're able to open purchases of tickets for others who may not be members of our athletes' immediate family. More information about all of this, of course, can be found on the district website. Of course, I've said this a couple times, talking about the priority of health and safety, and I just wanted to mention that we are so grateful that we have the assistance of our district nurse, Miss Jennifer Pinkney. She's been with the district several years, but I have to tell you, last year in the midst of a pandemic, I had Miss Pinkney on speed dial on my phone. We talked several times a day as we worked to manage the environment during a COVID-19 circumstance. So very happy that Nurse Pinkney is back with us again this year. And I wanted to let everyone know that we continue to run 2 clinics at Wilcox, Bissell, Dodge, and R.B. Chamberlain Middle School. And then we have the 1 clinic at Twinsburg High School. In all cases, at least one of the clinics on each of those campuses will be manned by a healthcare professional for the duration of the school day. So if we have any students not feeling well or staff members, there is a medical person on site to assist anyone with those circumstances. What we do ask our parents to help us with here is the fact that, if your child gets up in the morning and they are experiencing any symptom that is related to COVID-19, and those are here listed on the screen, we ask that you please keep your child home and seek medical attention. The best thing that we can do is to be cognizant of what these symptoms are and to work with your medical provider to ensure that your child is healthy to come back to school, because we certainly want them to be at school, but understanding it takes all of us to do the right things so that we don't have a situation of an outbreak of the coronavirus in our classrooms or in our schools in general. Speaking of quarantines, I'm not going to read this chart. It's a very busy document, but just know that the district will be following the guidance that has been provided by the Ohio Department of Health when it comes to situations in which a student or a staff member would need to be quarantined. I can tell you that there are 3 things that we can do together that would help to avoid quarantines, especially large group quarantines. And here are the 3 things. First of all, the Ohio Department of Health and CDC and the American Pediatrics Association all strongly recommend that everyone wear masks while we are in school. So that's the first thing that we can do to avoid a quarantine situation. Second of all is to make sure that we practice physical distance one to the next. And as I explained a bit ago, in our school district, for students in kindergarten, actually preschool through grade 8, we are practicing social distance of at least 4 feet from one to the next. And for students at Twinsburg High School in grades 9 through 12, we've expanded that by a half foot to 4.5 feet of social distance. So that's classroom, that would be in the hallways, that would be whenever we're together in the building, that will be the common practice in our school district. And so we're meeting the second requirement to avoid the quarantines. And the third thing is to make sure that we continue to practice good hand washing, hand sanitization, to make sure that our classroom spaces, our learning spaces, our common places, high-touch areas such as door handles, knobs, all those kinds of things are frequently sanitized. And this year we're using a hydrogen peroxide based disinfectant to help with that work. We used a quat-based disinfectant last year, and the science has improved with the hydrogen peroxide-based disinfectant, so we've made that adjustment over the summer. It's working very well for us, and our custodial janitorial staff have done a great job all summer preparing the campuses to welcome back our Tigers, and I know that they will continue to do that important work as we move through the school year. So with those three things in place, with masking, with social distance in place, as well as all of the health and safety protocols, we can really work together to avoid an outbreak and to avoid a lot of quarantines in the coming school year. So that bodes to the next important slide, and that talks about our masking and facial coverings requirement. On August 18th, I recommended to the Board of Education, and they authorized that all students in grades K through 12, along with all staff that provide assistance from preschool through grade 12, would be wearing masks while on our school campuses. This is a really important part of our health and safety protocols for this school year, and the decision to recommend this and then for the board to authorize this as the protocol for masking for the 21-22 school year is very important because we've been paying attention to all of the information provided by healthcare officials. But then I took it a step farther because I know that we have some parents in our community, school moms and dads, who are medical doctors. And so over the last month, I reached out to them, to many of them, and asked the question, in your area of expertise, what do you believe is the best course of action for the school district? And hands down, the answer was everyone needs to have a mask on. Whether or not folks are vaccinated, that is the best thing that you can do, short of being vaccinated, to avoid a situation where there are outbreaks in the school district and having to cause students to pivot home and learn from their home is very hard for many children. So the Board of Education had authorized this on August 18th, that we will have requirement of masks in our school district. But I want to let you know that they also went a step farther, and what they said is, we're basing this decision on what we know today. And what we know today may change tomorrow. It may change by tonight. And so what the board has directed me to do is to provide an analysis every 6 weeks for which they will have time to consider and make the decision for the next 6 weeks in time. So even though we're starting the school year with a mask requirement in place for all of our students, with the exception of preschool, because we know that sometimes our very youngest children, those who are 3 years of age, will find it very difficult to wear a mask all day. I also want to let the parents know that we do have exemptions that are allowed for mask wearing, and if your family has a certain circumstance, if there's a medical condition for which a child cannot wear a mask to school, please contact your building principal and ask for a exemption form. And the information about how we can consider your child to be exempt from wearing a mask is right on the form, so that might be helpful in your particular circumstance. And then finally, masks are not required when the students are outside participating in, say, physical education class, nor are they required indoor during physical education class, because sometimes it's really difficult to breathe when you're running around a track or playing basketball if you have a mask on. So we have made those exceptions. We are really trying to make good decisions that make sense, not only for our school family, but also are aligned with the very good thinking of our medical parents, along with all of the health officials who have been very wonderful with providing as much up-to-date information as they possibly can, given the changing environment of this pandemic. The next slide here shows what would happen in the life of a student or a staff member should they experience an illness, should they be diagnosed with COVID-19. I won't go into much detail, and parents can reference this document, and the entire district reopening plan is available on our website. If you go to the website and you go under the tab for parents, right under there's a whole link that talks about all of our COVID-19 protocols. That's where our COVID-19 dashboard can be found, as well as this particular document that I'm referencing today. And I look forward to any questions that you might have with regard to this document. I also want to remind parents that the district has an ample supply of the Buy Next Now COVID-19 test kit. This is not just for our parents of students who attend our schools, but this is for the greater school community. So if you have a circumstance in your home, you're wondering if you may have a COVID situation occurring, what we ask you to do is to contact our district nurse, and there's her email address as well as a contact number for Nurse Pinckney. You can reach out to Nurse Pinckney and request a Binax Now kit, and we're very happy to provide that for you. And when you take the kit home, the directions are there, and there's actually a link to a live person that will help you work through that test kit. Now, just a word about meals in our school district. We are excited to participate in the Summer Seamless Meal Program through the USDA this year. Again, this is the second year, so all of our students are able to receive a breakfast meal or a lunch meal at no cost. Students in kindergarten through grade 6 will enjoy their meals in our classrooms, and then students in grades 7 through 12 will rotate either having lunch in the classrooms or being able to enjoy their lunch in our commons area or the cafeteria. So we're excited about those opportunities for our students. The next slide just will reiterate what I've already talked with you about with regard to our sanitization and cleaning protocols here in the school district. And I really want to say again, thank you to our business manager, Mr. Welker, and to our maintenance supervisor, Mr. John Summers, who's joining us new this school year. Super excited that he's on board, as well as all of our custodian staff members, our janitors, and our maintenance staff who have worked diligently behind the scenes to prepare the school district to receive our students. We are taking the sanitization and cleaning of our facilities very seriously, and know that those protocols are in place to ensure that our students enjoy the safest learning environment possible. I'm hoping that you found some benefit to my presentation today. You know, reopening the school district under a pandemic makes life really interesting, of course, and more so because things continue to change. But I wanted to assure our parents, our students, and our residents in common that we really are doing all that we can to ensure a safe and productive and a happy and successful year for all of our Tigers. I really do appreciate your attention today, and I hope to see you soon at one of our events here in the Twinsburg City School District. Have a great day, everyone.